Nick. This is the GSL Code A with our host Wolf. Introduce the players.
Yes, sir. Bottom left. He's wondering because he is
curious.
Oh yeah, you like that?
It's clever. Isn't that pink Zowie mouse? Startup players love that.
In the top right, he is
Ragnarok.
sick intro.
It was good.
But yeah, it would be weird not to have Curious in Code S, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it really would, and he's a player who, you know, in most aspects, I'd say is very solid. You know, the fact that he's been able to consistently get into Code S almost every time.
Yeah.
I feel like Curious is one of those players that's just really underrated by fans. You know, there's nothing flashy about him, but he's like, he deserves more praise than he gets. There's a few players like this. Like I look at Byung and I'm like, why doesn't everybody love this guy? Like he is so good in so many ways, and
yeah,
for some reason
people should love Byung, but he actually does not get any love.
Yeah.
But
plus I'm like, what? Come on, guys, this guy is incredible.
You're right about Curious, though. I have to say. By the way, both players pooling first. Interesting.
That is pretty weird. But
excuse me.
I mean, looking at this, Curious has done so much. He's beaten so many good players. He's made so many crazy comebacks. He's played so solid in very important situations. And if you're a GSTL fan, you definitely know that.
You know, like a long time ago, like I want to say it was a year and a half or so, my good friend Pig from Australia was talking to me about Curious and the deep respect, because I knew Curious was good, but I didn't really like him a whole lot. And Pig changed my mind, and I've really liked Curious ever since, because he was telling me from a Zerg Pro's perspective, watching Curious, the range of builds he can do, his consistency, all these things. An amazing player indeed. And I kind of looked more closely at him, gave him more attention afterwards, and I got to say, he's an amazing player. He's someone that's just never going away.
I feel like he's just gotten bad luck a lot of the time. The range of builds that he can do in ZVZ is bigger spectrum than a Rainbow, and his consistency in the ZVP matchup is also really, really, it's something that you have to respect. I feel like his big glaring weakness as his ZVT is not consistent enough, and he definitely has shown some poor games there in Code S, and I think that's part of the reason why he wasn't making it as far as people were hoping back in Wings of Liberty, because that was a Terran-dominated tournament, the same way that Protoss dominates today. But let's see if he can get this scout defended. Not this time. We'll actually see there's no gases here.
Well, just, looks pretty normal right now. Nothing too crazy going on. And I gotta say, it could be a lot of ZVZs today.
Yeah.
Do you think, though, that whoever loses here, like let's say Curious loses, does Stats beat him? Because I don't think Stats played poorly. I think Stats actually played quite well in the series against Savage.
I think it's about whether or not Stats can fix his condition, because today he seems to be a bit off in some cases.
You mean like the hold positions?
Yeah, the hold position on the Zealots, like
yeah,
a few
couple micro
mistakes. Yeah, I feel like if he can talk to his coach right now in between the games, you know, which in this case I think is probably Hoja he's talking to, and just be like,
yeah,
you know, hey, I played a weird game, and Hoja can like calm down and say, you know what, you just made some like tiny mistakes, just like fix these little things, and if he
Hoja knows everything about playing weird games.
Yeah, true.
Perfect coach to back you up on that. Hoja and old StarCraft 1 Zerg.
But if Hoja can taunt him and say, like, listen, man, like, you've got this, you know, and if Stats can actually calm himself down, because I really feel like that really affected that best of 3, then yeah,
no, certainly.
I think he wins against Curious, or actually, I think he has a better chance against Ragnarok in a PvZ than he does against Curious, to be honest. And we're like talking about like really, really deep things that are like not even certain right now, because the series is like still in its second game. But
Curious might just go ahead and come back and win this. I would not even be surprised if he does. I still think he's the favorite here. But you know, it's interesting to think, just because I'm wondering how many ZVZs we are going to see today.
Now Ragnarok is taking a faster layer here, and this game is still going to take quite a bit to pick up. But I want to again capitalize on the fact that we have some time to talk about this. Ragnarok has so many players to practice with. He's teamless, but he's the best player to ever be teamless, to have people to work with. He's got players like Hyun on his back, and I know Hyun is really busy right now and just had to prepare for the WCS finals, but when you look at that, like, he's probably been practicing with Hyun in general all the time when Hyun's in Korea. He's got all the other TSL Zergs to back him up. I'm sure he practices with Symbol a lot, one of the best ZVZers we've got. And Curious, on the other hand, has players like the Life that he can practice with at his disposal. So these two are really, really prepared for ZVZ, I would say.
Well, that's kind of funny that you say that as well, because looking at the styles like Hyun and Symbol, like basically TSL Zergs were all very mineral-heavy type of guys, and we kind of see that being reflected in Ragnarok somewhat.
Yeah.
Whereas Life is a very, like, get speed upgrade type of guy, and we see that reflected in Curious, so kind of interesting, the clash of styles. Now, Curious, excuse me, making quite a few lings here, does already have this third up, getting the heavy upgrades once again, but Ragnarok really just focusing on roaches. He hasn't, quote-unquote, wasted anything on lings. So if he can continue to zone these lings out well, his roach attack's going to be very scary, because he'll have the critical mass, or in fact he already does, where the lings don't do much if your roaches are all together.
Yeah. It's hard to get a surround with this many roaches.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can do critical damage with this, even with +1. Like, +1 for Curious is about to finish. Last game, Ragnarok had the Nidus to eliminate the defender's advantage, but this time he doesn't.
Yeah, well, these lings are giving him enough of a runaround that it seems like Curious definitely will have enough roaches by the time anything gets there. Right now, like, for instance, this right here, what is this? He's just trying to pick off queens, and he's actually going to lose a bunch of roaches because of it. And the thing is, his the third base of Curious, I believe, has been up just a little bit longer, so actually, that was, like, not helpful.
Pretty significantly longer, and yeah, roach speed is done now, but so what? It wasn't done during the attack, and making these sort of significant difference. Curious now has the better upgrades. He's missing the +2 attack.
Yeah, and the thing is, +2 attack is better than 1-1 by a great deal in roach versus roach.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, you get +2 per attack, +1 per armor. So, I mean, if your opponent does have a lot of lings in his army, I guess the 1-1 is actually going to be better, but in this case, I would say definitely the +2 is what you're going for.
I would say so. I mean, this is a situation where, like, the wait for Ragnarok to come back, you know, economy-wise, because that's like the deficit here, is to use burrow movement to its fullest power, and he has to attack, he has to poke, right?
Like, get some harassment done, some burrow movement, roaches through the natural.
Because Curious right now even knows this too. He's like, oh, the only way I could lose this game probably is if you hit a timing and punish me for what I have economy-wise. That's why he's picking off these tumors intentionally with his lings right now. He's like, any attack you want to have, I'm slowing it down.
And not just that, he's actually already started Overseers. Now, does he actually have one near his choke? Because I feel like right around this time, maybe in just a little bit from now, you need to have an Overseer watching for those burrow movement roaches. We see so many games decided by that where they just slip under and you don't notice, and suddenly there's roaches everywhere.
Alright, he's going for it. He's splitting them up. The thing is, it's not actually about how much damage he gets done here. It's what he does while Curious is defending this, which is going to the third base. Now, there's a huge group of roaches for Curious over there at the third, so he's going to defend that really easily, but then the trade-off is, since he sent so much here, does he actually babysit the roaches that are in the main base? Because they're actually attacking the main and the natural right now, so yeah, he's going to crush this fight, but how much damage gets done here in the main?
Well, that is a good question. It looks like he's had to reburrow those roaches at the natural. In the meantime, in the main, it looks like he has lost a decent amount of drones here. 9 drones so far killed. And, well, still splitting them up a little bit. Definitely taxing the multitasking a little bit here of Curious.
I'd say he's made this worth it, and he's evened up the game with his attack. He traded okay with the roaches at the third.
Yeah, I think he's doing fine. If you look at the supplies and the banks, it's not too bad, especially considering Curious is down in drones right now. He's down by 8 drones total.
He takes the gold base now.
Oh, he's got to get out of there, though.
Yeah.
That's, ooh.
But he's, again, just trying to draw these roaches away, keep his focus here. He's like, get excited. Curious right now is like so excited. He's like, yes, I can crush this army. This is how we get ahead. He's so focused on that he doesn't pay attention to the harassment that's killing his workers. He's down to 45, 44 harvesters right now.
You know, one thing I am worried about here for Ragnarok is he's killed so many drones, and Curious isn't really remaking them. He's just making roaches, which means his max is going to be way more powerful. That's
true. But, you know, can he continue to reinforce? Because the economy for Ragnarok is going to be what keeps him alive here. And he's got the better upgrades. He has +2, and that's more important than the Carapace upgrade. We talked about this earlier, and it shows in this fight. Even though he was down on roaches, he's able to take an okay trade, getting into a good position here. And the worker count, you know, yeah, it's terrible for Curious, which gives him a bigger army, but guess what, Artos? The roach count is getting smaller and smaller, and he's going to start losing queens here. Even bringing drones up, because he knows if he holds this, the game is his.
That's all he needs to do. So much economy has been sacrificed. Ragnarok once again in the main base of Curious, killing off more drones. And it looks like Ragnarok, the big surprise so far today, playing just fantastically in these ZVZs.
Yeah, that's game, man. There's nothing else that Curious can do. He just panicked. GG. He was like, oh, I guess I have to kill you. I'm not going to defend this harassment.
Dude, that was really well played by Ragnarok. Really, really well played. In fact, Curious, you can see, he's like, whoa, did he just stomp me 2-0? Yeah, Curious. I don't know why, but he did. He's like really good.
I'm really, no pun intended, curious to see how Ragnarok fares against Rogue now, going into that winners match. Like, how does Rogue deal with the very aggressive but like varied style of Ragnarok?
Indeed, like Ragnarok did show quite a display of different things he can do. You know, a Nidus timing on a gigantic map, and then just this standard burrow movement to harass you and then run in on the other side and see what he can get done. You know, not going to be an easy match for that first spot in Code S for today.
Yeah, definitely going to be a tough one, man. Really looking forward to it. And then, on the other hand, can Curious's ZVP save him against Stats? Because one of those two players is going to get eliminated, and that's kind of hard to believe.
Both of them are very strong. I'm really happy. I wanted to see this match very badly today. The two I was really looking forward to was, of course, that first one that we saw.
Yeah.
And then Stats, I was hoping would hit Curious at some point, and I thought he would. Not in this match. I thought maybe like the second
match,
player getting out.
Yeah.
Maybe. But I don't know. We'll see. Next, we do have that winners match coming up, so don't go anywhere. Quick commercial.